What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is July 20th, 2021. Please go ahead and click the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. Today, we're going to talk about the price action in the headline indices. We will go under the hood and check out our sectors and style factors. We'll talk about some of the companies that reported earnings. We'll go through options order flow. We will also go through something about trade planning and how you can do that on your charts using Trading View. So that's going to be pretty cool. That's at the request of one of our members at Pristine Capital. So we'll touch on that as well. Let's jump right into it. Oh yeah, before I forget, quick first disclaimer, nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account to any one of my trades. All right, let's jump into it. S&P 500, price action across the board. Let's go through the box scores. We had the SPY up 1.43%. We had the NASDAQ QQQ up 1.16%. We had the IWM small caps up 3.1%. Huge bounce back. And we had the Dow Jones up 1.53%. So green across the screen after a really tough sequence there of red price action. One thing to keep in mind is during the red price action, that's where you find your limitations in your trading and your weaknesses. For a lot of traders, you'll notice this. I always notice it as well, where it's like, man, I didn't manage my risk correctly on this one, or, I had too many positions heading into the weak tape. Things like that you'll realize. It's very important that once the market turns around, you don't just forget about those weaknesses. You actually take them into account and learn from them. So we'll go through this price action, and then we will jump into, one thing to help you with your trade planning as well. All right, so S&P 500, we had this, really big downturn yesterday, huge extended range red candle. We jumped back into this monthly value where we undercut the 50-day moving average. We undercut the monthly point of control. Today, we had a really nice bounce back day. We closed above all the key moving averages in the S&P 500. Let's take a look at where we are on this hourly chart. And you'll see we haven't yet jumped back into this weekly value area. So, I guess that's the next level to the upside, this 43.47 level, if we can get there. But yeah, really nice bounce today. And this is kind of what happens every time we tag this 50-day or undercut it. This ends up being a huge bullish reversal. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think today's price action was certainly constructive. We had nice follow through and a nice closing range. Checking out our VVIX, you'll see the VVIX closed above this 5-day EMA. We had a nice red candle, didn't exactly close on the lows. So I'll be looking for this tomorrow. I do think that if we get some more constructive price action, the fact that the VVIX has not, recovered down to the lows, this is almost more fuel for a bigger rally. So we'll see. August tends to be a very volatile month. So I'm not expecting like some smooth ride, but this price action definitely a lot better than getting, just another huge red candle. NASDAQ daily chart. NASDAQ also reclaimed the 20-day simple moving average and the 5-day EMA. Looking good there. Let's look at the Russell. So Russell, even though we had a monster bounce, it still doesn't really look that great technically, to be perfectly honest. We are trading below pretty much all the key moving averages. We are above this 5-day EMA. And you can see we almost got down to that 200-day simple moving average. But yeah, really powerful bounce after, some carnage here over the last 2 weeks. So important to keep that in perspective. Dow Jones up 1.74%. We held the bottom of value, and we held above this monthly point of control, and we reclaimed the key moving averages. It's kind of interesting. This morning, the bounce looked like, oh my gosh, maybe this thing's just going to be sold right off. Didn't really look all that powerful, but the buyers came in after the market opened, and we had a good day on all these market indices. Market breadth, you can see, was overwhelmingly positive. We had 90% breadth on the SPY, 93% breadth on the IWM, and really just, strength all across the board. And this is where, like, how I talked about, maybe like a week or two, like, oh my gosh, my win rate just feels like it's going down. The environment's getting more challenging. On the flip side, on a day like today, assuming you're not buying in like at the close or whatever, days like today are where you essentially can't miss because the breadth is so strong. FinViz heat map, you will see that reflected here as well. We had, Apple with a really nice day up 2.6%, Disney, Tesla. We had the travel names that really had very nice bounces, and really just, broad strength across the board. You can see a little bit of weakness here in utilities, which are very defensive, which is, a good thing. Sectors, every single sector was green today. And that's, the flip side of the past couple of days where almost everything has been red. Best performers for today, we have retail up 3.42%. We had aerospace and defense up over 4%. YOLO cannabis ETF up 3%. So really nice bounces. And, the things that were the hardest hit over the past 2 weeks essentially got the biggest bounces today. Style factors, we had the size style factor. So that's essentially like small caps, proxy for small caps up 2%. We had the cyclicals up 2.95% and high beta stocks up 3.53%. So really monster bounces here. We had some earnings come out after the close. We had Netflix report. Let's see what Netflix is doing. Okay, so Netflix, you can see this huge candle right here with the long lower wick. Netflix is essentially unchanged, so not really a big move. Looks like the premium sellers won there. Chipotle reported they had a nice earnings beat, and they announced a stock buyback. And yeah, Chipotle, nice move in the after hours. I believe Intuitive Surgical also reported. Yeah, and Intuitive Surgical, a really nice candle as well. So I'll be monitoring these, seeing if there's any power earnings gap setups for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be like the first day of trading after these names report. Now let's see if this one formed a power earnings gap setup. HCA. Yep. Yeah, it looks like this one formed it. Yep. Power earnings gap. So I'll talk more about this in tomorrow's pre-market webinar. Yeah, it looks like HCA, really nice earnings report and got a really nice gap higher. Let's pull up here. We have, okay, so I'll talk about real quick. One of our members brought up today, and I think this is, in the market's week, what I was talking about earlier, where you start to see, hey, I see a deficiency within my trading in this in XYZ aspect. And that is the healthiest, best thing that you can do as a trader. You never want to think like, oh, I'm just killing it. I'm getting everything right and I have nothing more to improve on. That's where you really get stuck in the mud in terms of your trading. So with this specific question, it was around trade planning. And we already have, for our members, our training video on the test framework, so I won't go into that. But I think just a nice visual tool that you can do in most charting software. I love TradingView. And yeah, for most trading software, you'll be able to do this, but this is something I just recently started doing, and it's helping me quite a bit. So, for most traders, you always want to think about risk reward and you want to plan out your trades. Here's how much I'm risking, here's my target, and where does that put me in terms of, my risk reward. A lot of times you can just do it on a spreadsheet, and that works just as well. But doing it on the chart itself can be very helpful because it allows you to see visually, whenever you look back at the chart, how you're doing within that setup. And the other thing is it allows you to be objective. Because if you can visually see, like, oh, was my stop hit? Like, oh, yeah, it was. Like, let me get out of this trade. Or, I'm not even close to my target yet. Why am I taking this trade off? Or, hey, I'm approaching my target. I need to at least take a piece of the trade off. Things like that can just help you be accountable. But what you can do in TradingView is, you just use this tool right over here, which is Yeah, long position. And you'll find it in this menu. Yeah, you can do long position or short position. There's a lot of useful things that you can do here. And you can map out your trade. So this was my trade in Doc N. I entered this one on this red candle. I got in for 47 bucks a couple days ago. And this was my first one doing it, where I just learned about this feature. I was like, let me give this thing a shot. And yeah, you can map out, here's where I'm going to stop out of the trade. Here's my target. And then it just draws up these statistics for you where like you can see, okay, I have 5% downside, 5.1%, and I'm looking for 20.95% upside. And then it generates, your risk reward here. For this trade, it's a 4.11. And then you can see, how you're progressing in your trade after doing so. So I highly recommend, if you want to add some more structure to your trades and I want to be better with coming up with my targets, all that stuff, I highly recommend, doing it directly on your charting software. And maybe you have an area you'd like to take a target or something like that. Maybe you can add some text to the chart. But I think that's a really good way of just, being able to visually map out your trade. I also think too, you might find some setups that you're really interested in taking. Let's say something like Asan. Asan, let's say when it was trading all the way up here, super extended. You might find when you actually map out your risk reward, over here, if you were okay, I'll stop out of the 20-day, you'd be looking at man, my risk is just so high. And it allows you to really just see how much risk do I have. For instance, I'll pull up Amazon. So this is a sample trading plan that I just worked up. I didn't end up taking this setup. But let's say Amazon, you decide, okay, Amazon held the 20-day. I will enter, let's say tomorrow my plan is okay, if we trade in the wick, I'll enter Amazon. You can see here, if I use the 20-day simple moving average, a close below the 20-day as my stop out, this one's actually really tight in terms of the risk reward here. You can see it's 0.68% risk. So I think just by doing this and getting in the habit of it, I think you'll be a little bit more organized. And then also you'll be able to see which setups give me the best risk reward. And visually it'll just be very clear to you. So that's a side point for today. Let's take a look. We'll pull up some of my trades. We'll go through these really quick. I don't want the video to be too long. But NVIDIA, I played this one for a little bounce. Took this one off at the open for a small scalp winner. Sound was good. I closed out my Shopify for essentially break even. I think this is a 0.2% loss or something like that, if that. I would say this one is probably in my mistake bucket here. I didn't really have full confidence in the bounce in the morning. And with Shopify, this one ended up being a great performer today. So this one shook out in the morning and then, really nice performance. So this is one where, hey, I took the trade off essentially for a scratch, small loser, but I definitely want to keep it on my radar. But I think this one as well, if I had that trade plan mapped out on here, because when I originally posted this, my stop, I said a close below, I think it was 1432. That's where I'll take the trade off. And I took this one off, very early, just in case the bounce failed. So I guess, in hindsight is 2020. But yeah, in this one, I think if I had mapped it out, that could have been even better. Let's see. So I had that. I got long GLBE common shares. And this was after I saw that the bounce held. I tried to be pretty patient throughout the trading session and not do too much, just in case we start to give back the gains. This GLBE. Yeah, so you can see this one I mapped out. And, this trade's going to have a nice risk reward here. So, yeah, basically what I'm targeting is up here at the prior all-time highs. And I'll stop out, if we close below this low of the day right here. But yeah, I really like this setup in GLBE. This one, it's sort of forming a nice high tight flag. And, we're trading at the lower end of the base, which in this kind of market environment I actually prefer. And then I'm really just targeting, the upper end of the base. And then another trade that I put on, the only options trade that I did today This was at 9:53. I got long a SPY 440 strike call calendar spread. So I got long the September 440 call, and I shorted the July 30th 440 call. I got into this one for 429, and this one worked, very well today, right off the open. This is when you can see SPY, from 950 really just continue to run. And let me pull this up right here. So SPY, and really what I wanted to do was just target the upper Bollinger Band. You'll see SPY. So like we traded almost to the lower Bollinger Band the other day. 440 is that upper band. And with the calendar spread, really what I'm doing is saying, hey, I'd like to target that area, but I don't think we're going to get there in a straight line, and there might be some more back and forth volatility. By selling that July 30th call, I'm essentially financing part of my September 17th call. So even if the S&P 500 is like a bumpy ride moving forward, which it certainly could be, I doubt it just rips up in a straight line. If we get that volatility over the next, week and a half, I have that covered because I sold the July 30th 440 strike call. All right, so let's take a look at our options order flow today, and we will see. So let's look at our options race. We'll look at combined flows, and we should see that Amazon was our flow leader for today. This is via the VigTech platform. And it's pretty cool, yeah. So you can see how the day developed. And like you'll see QQQ is kind of like rising in the ranks here. And yeah, Amazon was our flow leader. Let's go over to our Tradescape. Hey, you'll see Moderna has a ton of options order flow. This one, is getting pretty extended. Okay, it looks like today this almost looks like a topping candle. Look at all that volume that came in here. Pretty crazy. Yeah, that one saw a ton of flow. Let me see, some of it puts. Yeah, most of it's actually calls. It's interesting. One thing that's sticking out here is Baidu. But it looks like there's an equal number of puts and calls. Let's see what Baidu did. So it looks like it's on a death march. I can't really get too excited about that. What's this name? RY. Whoa, Airbnb. Oh my gosh, a ton of puts coming down. Jeez. Yeah, everyone is shorting the heck out of Airbnb. Yeah, what is this RY? Seeing some different names here, which is pretty cool. Royal Bank of Canada. Whoa, so this is highly noteworthy right here. This RY barely advanced, but look at that volume. Let me see if they bought calls or what. Whoa, it's a huge put order. That's interesting. This is for January 2022. Definitely want to keep this on my watch list into tomorrow because that's definitely pretty wild volume compared to the average here. So definitely keep that on the radar. That about does it for our options order flow. And then you can see here these cryptos, really took a spill last night. Looks like they're getting a bounce today. Tomorrow we have it looks like a Bitcoin conference where we're going to have Elon Musk, we're going to have Cathie Wood, and we're also going to have Jack Dorsey in a roundtable discussion on Bitcoin. So we'll see if that has any impact on the market. And yeah, it's kind of interesting because we're going to have those speakers and then a bunch of other, big time members of the Bitcoin community. I think if anything, this should have some sort of positive impact because the sentiment is so bad. And what I find really interesting about this conference is, for the average person, a lot of them think like these cryptocurrencies, they're all going to zero. But what's interesting is that the people that are really advocating for this, like they're really like big, well-known celebrities, I guess, that are advocating. These people are all very well known for being forward thinkers. Like you have Cathie Wood, who's, an expert in spotting like futuristic trends and like a fantastic investor You have Elon Musk, who's become one of the richest men in the world, basically by being a forward thinker. Then you have Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, which is one of the most revolutionary platforms for sharing ideas and really moving the knowledge economy forward. So I think when you get a megaphone on three people of that caliber, when this asset is so depressed, I would like to think the risk reward heading into that event is skewed, to the upside. But we'll have to see what happens. With that being said, that about does it for this market recap video. Hope you all had an awesome trading day, and I will see you all tomorrow.